you got to put your money where your mouth is. If
Right.
you're going to run your own company and rely on your own, success or lack thereof.
Right.
I think that commercial real estate companies in general are, in terms of a company to build up and invest in,
Mm-hmm.
they're not the best because from a valuation standpoint, these smaller commercial real estate companies might get 1x their revenue when they sell. And
is that low evaluation due to the fact that there's just really not anything tangible or
correct.
Okay.
The assets are the people. And so, if you ever sell a commercial real estate brokerage company,
right.
In order for the new group to follow through on that transaction, they're going to want all your producers to sign as well. And so it's in terms of building it up as it's a great cash flow business,
Mm-hmm.
but the valuations are very low typically in that side.
Yeah.
And so I believe that causes some of these companies to not really invest as much in the business, because, they don't see those 10x multiples like on the software side of the business. Right.
Yeah.
So commercial real estate companies, it's all about, running a profit, making a profit, great cash flow, which is great. But I believe that a way to do things differently and really differentiate yourself is to invest that cash flow back into the commercial real estate company.
Yeah.
To invest it back into new products, new things to help the clients, new people.
Right.
And when I look at all the great companies out there, they're investing back in their companies. So that's really with Pope Corporation, investing back in the company, investing back in the people. And I mean that tangibly, dollars, continuing to grow and create the best, structure, not only for our employees, but also to where we're adding, as much value to our clients as possible.
Yeah. No, that makes 100%. That's interesting that you say it's values based on the people, because I've seen that in a few different industries, and I've always wondered how, like, for a company that, or any industry that performs like that, where it's very much based on the personnel that's there, how would you, because you said you keep putting money back into it, but how would someone who's like, hey, I really want to do a commercial real estate firm the right way, but also I want to have an exit plan one day and build it up so it has a bigger evaluation, what would be the, I guess, secret sauce to get it to that point where it's more tangible to sell in the long run?
The way that I've seen that traditionally done is, one, you can grow the company to be very large and get a lot of market share.
Got you.
That's one way to do it.
Mm-hmm.
Probably not the easiest way to do it.
Definitely not the quickest.
Not the quickest.
Yeah.
The other way that I've seen some of the valuations get higher is when they're focused on a specialty niche. Mm. So, hey, we do all the inner loop healthcare work for all these companies, and the revenue is X per year, and it's consistent, and we have the whole market. Yeah. So if one of the larger companies wants to get into that niche, they'll provide a higher valuation. Okay. I believe that there's other ways, technology-wise, to create more value in the business. Which is one of the things that. So I can't give away all my secrets.
No, I was going to say,
things we're doing.
We won't talk about your very valuable technology that you're cooking up at Pope Corporation, but in general, as soon as you said technology, I was thinking that too, because if you have something that is a service to the customer that they can only come to Pope Corporation for, then that becomes essentially a intellectual property, right? Or I guess more than intellectual property, but that's super cool.
Well, if you really want to represent a company that has multiple locations, say 20 plus leases, to do it right, you have to have abstracted every one of their leases. Yeah. You have to have a system to track it. Okay. You've got to be studying these things, and so to do that business well, you've got to invest in technology, you've got to invest in people, and you've got to do it the right way.
And you were telling me before that's why clients come to you, because you guys have pretty much a one-stop shop when it comes to that consolidation.
Right.
And basically your clients whole history is like part of Pope Corporation. It's all right there, right? And or not just history, but current situation as well.
Right.
Right. Do you see? Because I know you'll probably see the commercial transactions too. I know. I'm starting to see money move around in certain industries, but are you starting to see the same where acquisitions are becoming more commonplace? Mergers are more likely to be talked about now.
We do a lot of work on the healthcare, MSO and DSO side of the business, which are
MSO and
management
DSO.
practice organizations. And so they'll go in and say they're in the dental space. They'll buy up and partner with a lot of individual practices and roll them up into a corporate entity within different verticals in healthcare. So we do a lot of that work. COVID hit, the M&A activity stalled for a little bit. But then there were so many distressed companies out there that the groups that still have dry powder and the ability to go out there and buy companies.
I like that term a lot.
Have been getting aggressive.
Yeah.
The multiples have really dropped on that side of the business. So yeah, we're seeing a lot of the M&A specifically on the healthcare roll-up side of the business start to really kick back in again. And we've got multiple clients that are in the middle of M&A transactions, still growing and really thriving during this time and building for the future.
Cool. And when all that happens, when the acquisition happens or the roll-up per se, when it comes to the commercial leases, that just goes under the main company?
It's depends on the specific situation. Sometimes the doctors will own the real estate, the company will lease it from them. Other times they'll lease third-party real estate, but typically the company that has acquired is in charge of the real estate. Yes.
Got you. So they're just, it's like acquiring the company. You're essentially acquiring their debt anyways, or acquiring their contracts as well. Okay, that's interesting.
Right, and on the M&A side of the business, what we try and do is if one of our clients is looking to potentially buy another company that has 7 locations, we can go through and do some of the due diligence on the leases, on the locations, to see what kind of liabilities there might be, or even opportunities on that side of the business while they're in the middle of that transaction.
So not only are you looking out for their leases, but you're kind of helping them be the kind of the spyglass into the company they're looking to get on board, and just be like, even though they might be a solid company by themselves, but their debt requirements and leases might not be in the best situation. Has there ever been a time where an acquisition, or at least you've seen an acquisition was going to happen, but their actual real estate requirements or debts or leases or what have you made it like an absolute no-go, and they didn't see it beforehand?
It's rare that you see real estate kill the deal, because the acquisition company is not focused on the real estate. They're focusing on their other metrics of the business. What multiple can they pay? How is this going to fold in their business? And what is that going to do to their valuation? And so a lot of times they don't really focus on the real estate until they're well underway into the transaction.
Got you.
And so really, more often than not, it's a set of eyes on really digging into what they're getting from a real estate standpoint at an earlier phase than a lot of them have traditionally done, which would be they pretty much make the acquisition and then it's, hey, when does this lease expire? What are we paying? It's just far down the list of things they're focused on during the acquisition process.
Got you.
So
it just can't. It's very unlikely to really affect the overall acquisition or the overall outlook of the company.
I can give you a specific example where it might, due to Stark laws on the healthcare side of things. The lease has to be a fair market value if it's owned by the doctor. So in a situation where the doctor says, hey, we own our own real estate, the new company buys them, they're going to lease from that doctor. It has to have comps to support the lease. It can't be higher than normal or lower than normal.
Okay.
And so that's a part of the process that has to take place just from a, so they can comply with the law.
Got you.
Regulatory standpoint.
Oh, I got you. So that's going to become way more of an interest to them. Got you. Well, I never even thought of that.